Today I'm going to tell you about my unconventional AT through hike and my experience out there before and during the pandemic. Let's get after it. Hey everyone, it's Half Baked. Welcome back to Flop Flipped AT. Today I'm sitting in the backyard enjoying the first real warm day of the coming spring. It's going to cool off again this weekend, but decided I could just relax in the hammock out here, tell you guys about my unconventional Appalachian Trail through hike and why it wound up the way it did. In case you ever wondered about the name of the channel, this will shed some light on that also. I did explain a lot of this on an awesome podcast series called Walking and Talking by my friend and fellow hiker, Ryan YEARBOOK Schlosser. I will link that in the description. Don't forget to go check that out. Check out all the other episodes as well. It's really awesome stuff. In March of 2019, I decided I was going to hike northbound on the Appalachian Trail. It was spurred by my wife and I deciding that we were going to try to produce a tiny human. Trail, it was always like arm's length, like a maybe one day thing, not really on my list of priorities. But I realized that if we were going to have a child, it would make sense to probably knock this thing out before that. Previous few hiking seasons, I had been doing trail magic. I got to meet a lot of awesome hikers. I got to hike with some through hikers, and just being on the trail and getting involved with the community really drew me in. Made me want to experience what it's like to be part of that journey, part of that community as a hiker. At that point in March 2019, I didn't need much gear. All I needed to do was save money. So the plan was March 2020 to send it north from Springer. And then I got laid off. It was August 2019, early August, and it was rough. I didn't know what to do in terms of my hike or in terms of anything really. That's when a family friend recommended that I just go hike the trail at that point. And the timing wasn't great, actually basically impossible for me to do a full through hike. But I decided I could run away from winter and chase fall if I started at Harper's Ferry and went south. Northbound half of the trail, I'd have to worry about that later. But I decided I should seize the opportunity, and that's exactly what I did. So less than a month later, September 7th, 2019, I was at Harper's Ferry, my first blaze, heading south towards Springer Mountain. Overall, my hike was amazing. The weather worked out pretty good. The whole running away from winter, we did get caught by winter a little bit, particularly above the NOC. It was cold. We did see some snow above Irwin, but all in all, worked out perfect. In terms of the social atmosphere and the other hikers on trail, it was basically exactly what I wanted and expected. I wanted to be able to interact with other hikers, but I didn't want to have to deal with any overcrowding or bubble situations or full campsites. And it worked out perfect. There were southbounders passing by who had started at Katahdin. There were flip-floppers who had summited at Katahdin and had flopped back down to Harper's Ferry. And at first, I couldn't keep up with anybody. My pace was not great compared to all these people who had, 1,200 something miles knocked out of the trail. But eventually, I could hold a good enough pace to make friends. That's exactly what I did. I made some great friends that I'm proud to call trail family to this day. I still talk to almost all of them. And that was something I was looking for and super fortunate to get to experience being late onto the trail. It was awesome to be accepted as a hiker, even though these guys and girls had many more miles and months on the trail than I did. I reached Springer Mountain in Georgia on November 20th, 2019, 1,025-ish miles of the trail knocked out. After finishing, I got lucky enough to score a job in my field. When I interviewed, I told them my plan to leave in April to finish the trail and that I'd be gone for a few months, but if they liked my work, I would be willing to come back and continue working for them after the trail. That actually worked out perfect. I still work there today. It's a great place, and they're kind of understanding of my need to get out and enjoy nature. So it works out pretty good for me. I got really lucky with that. So like I said, I planned to leave in April, but then COVID hit. Numbers were very bad here in the Northeast, and I didn't know what to do. The ATC was saying don't hike. The internet was on fire with arguments about what to do or not to do. I knew there were still through hikers moving north. I also knew that there would be a little bit of a different vibe, maybe a different experience compared to my southbound leg with the pandemic and maybe less amenities or support along the trail. I did have a little bit of a contingency though. I was hiking towards home at least for a couple weeks. So if things were bad, all I had to do was make it back to New Jersey from Harper's Ferry. So I figured I had a bit of a cushion. And once May 25th rolled around, I was on trail. Harper's Ferry heading north towards Katahdin. As it turned out, the trail wasn't that different compared to my southbound leg the previous fall. There were no bars or restaurants to sit at and enjoy a meal and a cold beer, but everything we needed as hikers, we could get, for the most part. Everywhere that you expected there to be food, you could get it, you could resupply, you could get a hostel or a hotel room most of the time. We even got trail magic, we even got hitchhikes. All in all, it wasn't as bad as the internet made it out to be. And that was a great relief. It felt like the trail. The vibe was there. People were happy. We wore masks in town. And we couldn't sit at a restaurant. But other than that, the trail felt like the trail. And that was great for me. I was really worried about the vibe, on the trail. I thought it might be different, but honestly, the trail community, I think, got stronger through the pandemic. And it was interesting to see the trail react. A lot of people did get off or cancel their hikes, but a lot of people also got off for a little bit, flip-flopped to somewhere else. And what that did was spread all the hikers out. There were no bubbles. There were no big groups of hikers heading to town. And I think that was good. I finished my flop flip of the AT at Katahdin on August 14th, 2020. That's where the name of the channel comes from. I did a backwards flip-flop. I flop flipped. Yeah, I didn't do it in one season, but I did it in less than 365 days, and I played the hand I was dealt, and it worked out perfect for me. I wouldn't trade my experiences for anything. Yeah, maybe I'm not a true through hiker end to end in one season, but if I didn't just take the opportunity to send it when I did, then I wouldn't have had the experiences that I did. I wouldn't have met the people that I did. It seems obvious, but a through hike is an additive experience, hiking long distances. What you do one day affects the next day, affects the next day, affects the next day. And to see it play out over a few months and thousands of miles, it's truly humbling and one of the most amazing things I've ever gotten to experience. And that's it, guys. Story of my unconventional AT through hike. I played the cards that I was dealt. And this may be controversial to some people because I hiked during the pandemic. But I think we as a community should be able to have that discussion in a mature way. So whether you agree or disagree with me hiking half of the trail during the pandemic, leave a comment. Let's talk about it in a mature way. I think it's good for the community, and I think we can all grow from it. So let's be mature about it. Go ahead, leave a comment. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. We'll see you next time, hopefully out on the trail, not here in the backyard. Take it easy.